Well, welcome to Feel Resilient. Who to trust with your health, your liberty, your sustainability, and your spirituality. It's my real pleasure to introduce you to my friend Teresa McCloy of the Real Life Process. Teresa is going to help us to understand first of all, what matters, and then to do what matters. And there's something that maybe like you've struggled like I have. And that is, first of all, to know what matters and then to focus deep into doing what matters. And I don't think it's possible to feel resilient, right? Really a deep down resilience that you can move forward regardless of the storms of your life, unless you have a deep understanding of knowing what matters and then to focus on those things, doing those things that matter. So I certainly hope you enjoy our discussions on Feel Resilient.
I think that, and you'll find that as we walk through this whole process, like you have to take care of your own needs first. I think that's even spiritually what scripture says, if you're, a believer in that way, that, love others as you would love yourself is what the passages say. Right. And we forget that part. We're just like, oh, I should just do for everyone. So needs are really how we're designed, how we're wired. We all have different needs. So for me, and I won't write all these words out, but my first need is for accomplishment. Well, that sounds very, both of us fall on the Enneagram personality profile as type 3s, very driven. But what's interesting, when I go to the smaller list of words, actually accomplishment to me means I've fulfilled it. I've lived it all the way out. I've saw it to the end. That's a need for me to see it all the way through. Another need that I have, this is where people get stuck too. They go, oh, you have a need for power? That sounds very negative, right? My word for it though is capacity. I want to be at my full capacity. I have a need for that, need to work at full capacity. That even means I love to have a team. So some of your listeners that are listening to us today might go, I really don't like to work by myself. I really like to have people around me so I can be at full capacity. I'm a visionary and I like to be at full capacity. And to do that, I know I need a team. Other people are like, I love to work by myself. That would never fall for me. Another need that I have is a need for order. My word for it is harmony. Again, you hear the team part of that. I want to work with others. I want to have harmony. I like for there to be order and systems and structure. I like for us all to be very open and honest and get along. I have a need for that, whether it's in my home, personally, or professionally. And honesty is a need for me. I want to be surrounded by honesty, and it comes out for me as integrity. However you spell that, but it comes out for me as integrity. And then my last one, and you'll see some patterns, is recognition. And again, we could carry a lot of shame around our need, like I need to be recognized, but my word for it is known for. So it would be very obvious that I would create something, right? A process, a product, something that I would be known for, not to get the kudos and applause, but to say I've contributed to the world in a way that makes it better. I've left my footprint. I've left my legacy. That's an important part. So you can see by knowing, as we discover your needs and values, that's going to make a huge difference in how what we described as, let me get it back up here. This modern day rule of life is going to come together. Because if I know my needs and values, and I remember what they are on a regular basis, we do that through a weekly review of just pulling up this little map that we're going to create, saying, oh yeah, I wrote that down on my map and I have that here. I have my top 5 needs, my top 5 values. That's this first section of what you're going to walk through in creating this little plan. This second section says, what are my talents, abilities, and gifts? So Steve, as you think about, if you just had to spend 3 seconds brain dumping, well, I'm good at this, I'm good at this. I know I have these gifts. They could be something you've done through another profile. They could be just natural things that you do. What would you put there in that section 2?
You're asking me to answer that right now?
Yeah.
Okay. I know that I know that I have the innate ability to teach, but I also know that that's my spiritual gift.
Okay.
So I'm going to answer this because of our friend Dan Miller and his book, 48 Days to the Work You Love, and understanding what your vocation is. And so I spent a lot of time working through that. And my statement is that I study, I research, and I teach. And then from there, I don't have a description of what I would study or research, but I know to research, to study, and then to teach, and then to learn how to monetize that. And again, that's a word that some people think may be negative, but I have no problem with the idea of adding value to other people and being compensated for that. So if I'm studying, I'm researching, and then I turn around and I teach that, and then I learn how to monetize that because I'm adding value. And one of our former members in our mastermind group, when she looked at my DISC profile, she said, Steve, you have one of the strongest abilities that I know to take complicated information and make it simple. Right. So that's part of that teaching, is to take complicated information and then to be able to speak and teach. And yeah, that's the other thing, is it would be research, study, speak, teach, and then learn how to monetize that.
So thank you for sharing all of that, because when we take this little map that we're just going to capture all about Steve, it's all about Steve.
You've seen the movie, have you? That's my favorite movie.
On this document. And there'll be people that would go, why do I need to write it down? Well, and I'm going to talk about that here in just a second. But when we capture your needs, your values, and then here in this little box, and this is an outline that we give you at the Real Life Process. You could do this on a Word doc on your computer. Right. It doesn't have to look just like this. But in this second section, it says truths that I know about me. It's what have I discovered about me in this time that you've had on life. Now, you and I have had a few more years than maybe some of the people that are listening. So we've had a longer time to discover, but no matter what season you're in, your 20s, 30s, 40s, you've discovered some things about yourself. And so you've discovered that you love to teach, study, research, speak, add value. You're able to take complicated things and put them into simplified ways of communicate them, maybe through the speaking. And if desired, not always, but if desired, you could even monetize that.
Right.
Okay. So that's all things that you want to capture and know and write down about yourself. You've done that work in different ways in different places. What we're doing sometimes in this first part of the process is grabbing everything that you know and putting it somewhere.
Okay.
And the reason we are is because if you've had a really good week, we're going to talk about this in component number 4. We strongly believe in weekly reviewing your week, and then about every 90 days, doing a day-long retreat or a couple of days retreat to kind of set up the next 90 days. So if you're at a weekly review on a Sunday night or a Monday morning or Saturday morning with your coffee, and you're thinking back over your week and you're going, gosh, I'm looking at my sheet and man, I really hit on my values this week. And I was really living into my areas of focus, the big things that mattered. And I really was showing up with some of the things I know about myself. Awesome. Kudos, great week. Why do I feel so good about this week? Well, this is why. Or
Okay.
you get to Friday, Saturday morning, Monday morning, Sunday night. I like to do my weekly review on Sunday evening. And you look at it and you go, this was not a good week. Buzz kill. Why? Well, my values got a little off kilter. I wasn't taking care of myself. I didn't put my oxygen mask on first. I didn't make sure that I was meeting some of the needs that I need. And I sure wasn't spending the time living into the truths that I know about myself and the way that I show up in the world. So having it all in one place in a written form, somehow, some way, helps you do that review. Literally, I can do a weekly review in about 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
Depending on how deep you want to go and some of the rhythms and routines that you personally, and that's why we call it a real life process. Your weekly review looks different than mine because you get to develop your rhythms and routines around it. It may be a lot of journaling for you. It may be just really quickly looking at it. I always look at my calendar, what's coming up, what just finished up. There's different things we'll talk about there, but the first step of this first page of this map is to capture all we know about us.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed my discussion with Teresa McCloy from the Real Life Process, helping you understand what really matters and then, of course, doing what matters. And I personally don't think that you can move forward effectively and really feeling resilient unless you know what matters to you, and then you focus on doing what matters to you. So again, trust that you've enjoyed that conversation and look forward to you seeing many more of these conversations going forward as we build out for you under the umbrella of Feel Resilient, this idea of really understanding and doing what matters. See you on the next video.